Hi there, Ian here, and this is the final part of my how to make an intro tutorial. Sorry it's taken a while to get this one out. I pretty much forgot about it after I had a lot of work to do at university. But here it is now. This is going to be adding final bit of colour correction and sound to the intros, just to make it a bit more interesting and better to watch. So in the last episode we ended up with something like this. We added all the background, the flares and the text here, and in this episode we're just going to add sound and a bit of colour to it as well. Now it doesn't matter what you use to do this. I'm using Final Cut Pro. You might use Sony Vegas. I'm going to be using Magic Bullet Looks to colour correct it. So you might have that in After Effects. You would add the colour correction before you rendered it out. But here I'm using Final Cut Pro. So first of all you need to start a new file. This is just the start of a little montage I'm making. Should be out hopefully by the end of the year, but I highly doubt it. I've kind of put it off over and over. But yeah, that's not what we're doing today. So first of all, you want to import what we did last time. So I'm just going to drag it in here, and that will appear, and you can play it through. And we just want to drag this onto the timeline over here. If you're using Final Cut Pro, always click yes at this point. It just makes it so the sequence here is identical to the clip, and so you won't have to render until you add any colour correction at all. So here's our sequence, and first of all we're going to add the sound, because colour correction always happens at the end. This stops you having to continuously render, and it just means you can line it up perfectly. So first of all I always add a kind of backing soundtrack, and for this I'm using the Designer Sound Effects. I might put a link to their website in the description, or you can just Google Designer Sound Effects, and you can get it through that. It's not free though. So to start with I'm going to add one sound here. I'll just play it through. This is just to play in the background, just so it's not silent at any point. So just drag that onto the timeline, and I'm just going to cut it down to just after it's finished. And so now you can see there's a bit of sound going over the top. I have no idea how the sound's going to come out for you guys, because it's playing out my speakers, but it's using my built-in mic, so there might be a bit of kind of feedback, so I'm hoping it's not too bad, just so you get the idea and you can still hear me clearly. The next step is I'm going to put a sound where the logo hits the background, so that's about as soon as the text appears, really. So there, I'm going to add a sound. I'm going to use an impact sound, which is this. So just drag that onto the timeline where it hits, and so now we have. That's looking good, and now the final sound I'm going to add is where this comes up. So that's there, and we kind of want like a swooshing sound effect. So I'm going to use this sound here, which is this sound, and just drag that maybe just before this happens, because it takes a while to get into the sound. So I'll just drag that there, and this is what we have. Yeah, it has to happen a lot earlier for it to actually happen. There we go. And again, if you're using Final Cut Pro, to make the sound kind of fade out, first of all you want to click this button down here, and this, don't know what it's called, the toggle clip overlays tool, and that brings up lines which you can adjust. And if you press P on your keyboard, which is pen, or click the button down here, just click where you want it to start fading out, and then click again and hold down the click and just drag down. As you can see, you get a curve which, when we play it through, the sound fades out. We're just going to drag it so it happens a bit sooner after the clip ends. There we go. And then if we press B, which is the break tool or split tool, and that's this button here, you can just go down here, and if you press A, that's back to your selection tool. Just highlight both of them and you can click delete, just so it cleans it up a bit. I think this looks okay so far. And then the final step we want to do is add color correction, and I'm using Magic Bullet Looks for this, which is in Effects, Video Filters, Magic Bullet, and then Looks. And then if you just click and drag this on to your render file, and double click, and what you need to do is get the playhead cursor over somewhere which you can actually see something. So here, if you color corrected this, you wouldn't really be able to see what it's doing. But if we go to somewhere like here, where everything's on the screen, then you'll be able to color correct this and it will look exactly how you want to. So again, in Final Cut, you go back, you double click on here, go to where you want, then on this viewer screen, not the canvas but the viewer, you go to Filters and then Looks, and then you just click Edit, and this will load up Magic Bullet Looks. Now this is very powerful. There are hundreds of presets over here, which you can just add, and it changes the look of it completely. You can load any of these, but for mine, I'm just going to make a clean start. So you could either delete everything down here or just go to Basic and Clean Start. So that just gets rid of any effect. Now I'm going to use these tools over here. This is to make your own one. And to begin with, I'm going to go to Lens, Vignette, and that darkens the edges. You don't want it too dark, so on the strength, just turn it down a bit. Maybe some edge softness. Drag this outer one out, and blur size, you want it down to about 1.5, between 1 and 1.5 really. And then for a bit of color correction, what you can do is add a crush. To add these, you literally just drag it on, and then I normally just drag it a bit to the blue side, so it makes it look a bit cooler, not in the sense like cool as in good, but as in cool as in cold. And then you can play with the gamma. As you can see, if you turn it all the way down, it's incredibly blue, and if you just turn it up so it's just like a faint blue on here. Oh, there's my mouse run out of battery, oh well. So you can see, if we just highlight this on and off, it just gives that little bit of a cool filter on, and that is pretty much it. Then all you have to do is render this. Hopefully it won't take too long. This is the only time which you'll really have to render on the viewer, is after you color correct it. The sounds normally don't have to be rendered at all, they'll just go straight in. If you use like an MP3 or something, it will have to be rendered out. But here we go. And that's pretty much the basics of making an intro. The final step is just to render this out so it plays in YouTube, and it's not a massive file. So we need to go to File, Export, using QuickTime Conversion, and then choose where you want it to go. So I'm just putting it in here. Call it anything you want, really. So I'm just going to call it Hallam Render. Then in Options, you want to change the settings, quality to best, the size to 1280 by 720, and then in the sound, you want AAC, quality of best, and the bitrate at 320, just so it's a maximum sound quality and picture quality you can get, and then just click render. And rendering depends on how fast your computer is. My computer's very fast, so it kind of gets everything out very quickly. And there we go. Now we have our intro here. I hope this has been helpful. Sorry this part's taken a while to get out, but as I explained, I had a lot of work to do. I really hope you've enjoyed the tutorial. This was a much faster stage than the others because there wasn't as much to do. But thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe and like and comment on the video. Thanks for watching. This has been Ian, and I'll see you next time.